Telling you, I love the intro music. Oh, look, I'm sunshiny. Welcome to the Thriving Life podcast, everyone. I'd love to hear from you. Put your word of the day into the chat or the comments, and we're off. We're talking about something that I would say that over 90% of clients ask me about this particular topic. And there most certainly is a revolution happening around this topic. Can you guess what it is? Oh, yeah. It's about abundance. It's about financial abundance, but all forms of abundance. And there is so much work out there and noise out there on the subject. What if there's a whole new abundance architecture? What if there is a way to live in overflow, but it has nothing to do with, analyzing the living daylights out of why you're in your own way? What if it's not about lack consciousness? What if it's about so much, such a simpler connection? So simple. What if it's right in front of our own faces? And it kind of is. So I'm gonna chat about that. Even Oprah says so. So I'm going to chat today about this idea. But before we get started on this particular subject, let's dive into a couple of things. The first thing is, did you know that we have a private community? And the private community is on Agents of Awakening. It's on Mighty Networks. And you can join for free and get we have a gatherings every month where we go deep. We do a deep dive into the field of, consciousness and what's happening and start expanding ourselves. It's called Agents of Awakening. And that monthly program, which you can register for, the very first one at no charge, you can jump in and I am live with you and you can ask all the questions you want from the holographic universe. So we're having a good time there. And if you haven't yet joined us there, please visit members.thewideawakening.com. And you can jump in and already listen to the first 3 innate abilities and the first 3 master activations. It's all no charge. It's on us. So welcome everybody who's listening in. Thank you for coming. Make sure you subscribe. It actually matters a lot that you subscribe. It also matters that you follow us, and then you'll never miss anything. So, all right, let's jump on about the physics of abundance. How, practically speaking, do human beings get into a flow with respect to financial abundance in a way that your beingness, shifts to match an influx of prosperity? Now, most people, and I'm just going to say, our work is a little bit different than most. We've been trained over decades and even a century at this point, since the inception of psychoanalysis and all of that, that the only way, and even in New Agey circles, the only way to get to a place where you make a quantum leap is not really quantum leap. It's this slow and steady excavation. It's this slow and steady analysis of how come you're stuck. It's this slow and steady, gosh, really, really effortful. Even look at past lives, for goodness sakes. So what if we're not even focusing on what's coming up to leave? What if the issue is not about what's coming up to leave or about the paradigm that's in the way? What if it's not even about belief systems that you have? What? What if it's not about the belief systems? What kind of is? But what if the laws of physics say if you focus on what isn't working or that which is not you, and I can prove it. I can prove that your lack of abundance is not you financially, anyhow, because you are abundant. I'll prove that in a second, which is important because then you're going to be able to change your relationship to your overall abundance, including finances. But the ways we start focusing on all the belief systems, and of course, in physics, what you focus on expands, right? So, in a way, I'm going to say something a little bit controversial, but what the heck? And what I'm going to say is this, that you already are abundant. Everyone's abundant. Everyone's abundant in everything because you are the agreement of quantum physical particles that come, that converge in 3 dimensions in a very dense dimension called 3D from that multi-D world, from the smallest particles of us. Everything that's in your life is a manifestation. Everything. You are overly abundant. If you've got a sore hip and it keeps getting sore, that's an abundance of ouchiness, right? If your bank account keeps going down, that's abundance of going downness. You see, we assess that one form of abundance or another is good or bad, and what we perceive as bad, we start to analyze. But the problem is, the laws of physics say that if you put your attention on what is perceptively, from a human's point of view, not working, you're going to get more of what's not working. Consciousness assumes because you have free will, you're focusing on what you desire more of. So this idea that from the energy of what's wrong, you analyze the living daylights more out of what's wrong. From that frequency, you're just going to find more things that are wrong. Have you noticed when you're in one of those moods? It's like a grease line, slippery slope to hell. So, a great example in my life recently was that there was something that was really bothering me. And what I did is temporarily, I don't usually spend very much time in this, but because I've got such a flow going, because I understand how physics works, my river moves really fast. So when I'm in alignment, oh my gosh, like just like you, I shake and bake. All the people that I want to work with come my way. I just had that happen yesterday. It was so fun. All of the ideas about how to, I don't know, improve my garden. I get given trellises to be able to hold my tomato plants up out of the blue. Like stuff happens left, right, and center. But the other day, I started focusing on something that was really bothering me, and I got very righteous about it. These days, with all the polarity in the world, there's a lot of people being super righteous. This was not about politics or economics. This is about something very personal, and I was getting really annoyed by it. And I stepped out of my normal routine of how I stay in flow. And I plead temporary insanity. Because then what I did is I kept focusing on something that completely was not what I wanted more of, and I got more of it. I ended up with poison ivy, and it wasn't because I was focusing on poison ivy, it was because I was focusing on something that was making me pretty anxious. But it was because I was focusing. It wasn't making me anxious. I'm not a victim of my circumstances. However, my focus, because I create my circumstances, my focus on it and my righteousness about it caused, let's say, a bodily manifestation of my focus. And so And so more and more, and the more I got aggravated, and then I got caught up in the poison oak or ivy or whatever it was, it doesn't even matter. And I had welts all over my chest. You could probably still see a little bit of calamine lotion there, right? And I had welts and all sorts of stuff. And all of a sudden, I had to I had to spend a lot of time lying down. I used red light therapy, and I used all that time to get my brain in a new direction. I had an abundance of poison ivy. See? So everyone there, the laws of physics say whatever you focus on expands. But as soon as I started redirecting my mind, that's as soon as it started to heal. And not only did it heal that, even uh my numbers for my thyroid improved over the course of doing all of that. Isn't that cool? So it exponentially improved all sorts of health things, which is so cool. I wanted to share that with you because it's that simple. It truly is. It's so simple. Now, most people say things like, well, you know, they're, yeah, most people say things like, there is so much wrong. How can I possibly face in the direction of abundance? Well, here's where I go with that. So we now know that we're all abundant. Whether it's things you like or don't like, we're all abundant. So you are never not abundant. All right. Next is, so how do we switch it? It takes a bit of deliberateness. Imagine that the reason I even got into the laws of physics and biophysics and psychoneuroimmunology and epigenetics, the reason why I started studying all those subjects is because I ran a very large, after I was an economist for a while, I got really sick and I healed myself using nutrition, but then I ran a very large integrative health clinic as a result of the illness that I had, right? And the illness that I had included migraines. Migraines are kind of like poison ivy in your head, right? Imagine the Olympic level training I've had in not being a victim of my circumstances. Because the only way out of those migraines, I haven't had, you can ask my husband, I haven't had a true migraine since, well, he didn't know me way back then, since doing exactly what I'm about to tell you to do. But when your head's about to explode, to get to the place where you can even be neutral is an interesting phenomenon. My lips are very dry. So to get to the place where I was neutral in the middle of a migraine that caused such deep pain, I was having an abundance of pain, that's for sure. And I was focused on it and worried about it. And oh my God, am I going to die? Do I have a brain tumor? Like that's where my brain was going on this final migraine. And the pain catalyzed me so deeply that I actually left my body. I couldn't stand it. The interesting thing is I'd never left my body before. And I was sort of lying beside myself as my body, the dense thought form called my body, was in total pain. And I started being really curious about what it was all about. And the word pressure came to me. So all of a sudden, I'm receptive to answers because I'm no longer focused on the pain. I'm curious. And then I see this entire architecture that goes all the way back into my father's ancestry of people that put incredible pressure on themselves or something really bad happened in the family. And that pressure manifested in all sorts of diseases, including alcoholism, in that ancestry. For me, the pressure I put on myself, which I inherited from that lineage, which now I went, oh, this isn't even mine. This isn't even my pressure. And in that realization, even what I'm teaching here was born, and this is 20 years ago. But as I understood that we have the capacity to step outside of the circumstances, now it's much harder to step outside of the circumstances when you're in them, right? When you're in the middle of a migraine. But the fact that I could means that I know that anyone can. And in the middle of poison ivy, the fact that I knew that I could, I know that anyone can. I mean, my skin was literally bleeding from itching, but I could leave it behind. But who wants to do that? Who wants to get all the way to the point of poison ivy or all the way to the point of having a migraine to be able to break free of a paradigm? I mean, that's crazy. So instead, when your circumstances are good, that is the time to understand the overwhelming abundance you're already in. How do I know you're in abundance? Because you're listening right now. It's really a miracle that you have 2 ears that interpret sound waves, and I'm halfway around the world for most of you. How else do I know? Is that your oxygen is being exchanged, your CO2 is being exchanged, your digestion is working. You're able to hear me. And all of those things are happening without you needing to do a thing. That is receptivity, my friends. That is quantum receptivity. That is an epic level of God creation, the field, whatever you want to call it, giving to you and you being out of the way. Literally, trees and plants are breathing out what you breathe in millisecond by millisecond, and you don't even ask for it. In fact, you probably take it for granted. But what if you were really present to the degree to which you were given to? What if you deliberately made yourself present to the degree to which you are consistently receiving the gifts that are awaiting you? The gifts that you so take for granted that if you were present to it, truly present to it, it would probably make you cry. How loved and given to you actually are. But in order to be given to at that level, you need to be willing, all of you, everyone who's listening right now, you need to be willing to not observe what is, not observe where your bank account is, be responsible, do the things you need to do. But instead of observing where your bank account is, you need to be able to get to the vibration of how abundant you are, likely on other subjects when it comes to money. And truly, while being completely responsible about your bills and all the things that you have to do, focusing as much attention on the other ways in which you are ridiculously abundant. And how I know is because you're alive. The very fact that you were given life, do you know anybody that knows how to, there is no, you know, Mr. Frankenstein, you know, that that uses lightning bolts. It doesn't work that way. Your soul was granted your body and you were granted this life. You were able to animate this body by being given to by the field, a field of which human beings don't even understand how that happens. You're a walking miracle. But do you presence yourself to that every day? No, you don't. You don't. Have you ever tried to understand how your eye interprets light so that you see stuff? It's incredible. It's actually incredible. Did you know that your eyes only see what your pupil is focused on? And everything else outside, even I'm looking at my hands on either side of me right now, but I'm not looking at them. My pupils are faced on you. Do you know that when your hands are at your side and you think you see your hands, that it's an extrapolation of your brain predicting what it might look like based on the past, and then having it look like you're seeing your peripherals. I mean, that's insane, but that's what happens. It literally, your whole body is a miracle. When I studied biology in order to run that clinic, it became blatantly clear to me how many gifts were given millisecond by millisecond just to have this life, but we don't presence ourselves to that. So the abundance is profound. So the next thing I want to talk about is, do you have to earn, you know, the universe giving you life? Do you have to earn uh, do you have to earn your place? Well, we could say your place in heaven, given my Anglican upbringing and your Catholic upbringing or your Muslim upbringing or your whatever, Jewish upbringing. Do you have to earn your mother's love? No, you don't. No. You don't have to earn your sunset tonight. You don't have to earn your share of air that the tree is breathing out or that the ocean is breathing out, because that's where most of the oxygen comes from. You don't have to earn any of that. I mean, what would you need to do to earn your next 5 minutes of air? Think about it. That's insanity. It's not a deserving-based universe. It's a focus-based universe. So you have to be willing not to focus on the things that you don't like that exist. You have to be willing to put yourself into the future, into a future that, if you can imagine it, listen to me, if you can imagine a future, it means that it exists, because the only place everything exists is existence. Meaning even your imagination is in existence, so it has to exist. And since it does exist in some parallel lifetime in the field somewhere, then by you owning that or claiming that and just keeping your attention relentlessly on it, you're telling consciousness through your free will that you are more interested in that parallel lifetime than you are in the stuff that doesn't work for you. Right? And so, do we have the capacity to make quantum leaps? Yes. I mean, right now we're in the middle of teaching innate abilities. We're going through the exercises to do the advanced version of what I'm sharing right now and helping people to make those quantum leaps. In fact, if anyone's listening from innate abilities, that's where we're going on Saturday. But in the meantime, just know that it is possible, because I've come back from places where I was even in the middle of the worst experience of my life and used my power to focus to transcend and transmute what was happening to me, even over time. I mean, 2 weeks is a long time to have poison oak. Interesting how I just was relentless constantly. Every time before I went to bed, I was focusing on, just the gratitude for life itself, the redirects, the awarenesses that I had while having the poison ivy, the gratitude for skin itself. Never mind all the other things, my dog, my husband's love and support during this time, all of that kind of stuff. So you have free will. There's no one else thinking your thoughts, truly. And just to activate, just to finish today by doing something a little bit different, you can always come back and listen to this again. And maybe if you have a phone right now and you're not listening on your phone, you're listening on your computer, you could actually record this, or you can go back, if you're listening on your phone, go back and listen to this podcast again and record this last little bit, the last 5 minutes. because I'm going to activate. I'm going to talk about your future as if it's right now. I'm going to talk about that evolution, and we're going to go there together and just practice exactly what I've been sharing. You do not have to, by the way, put your attention on money in order to have it come. What I'm saying is, you're not a victim. If you behave like a victim of your circumstances, you'll get more things to be a victim of. And if you gossip and complain with your friends about what's not working, you'll get more things to complain about. So let's do that thing. Let us do that thing. Here we go. You are so blessed right now to be able to interpret sound waves. It's actually incredible. You don't even have to try, and your body does it automatically without even thinking about it. You're breathing right now, and you're exchanging what doesn't belong in your body for the oxygen that helps your blood flow. And by the way, your blood is pumping fully without your need to ask your heart to pump, your need to ask your veins and your arteries to do what they do to bring oxygen in and take CO2 out. Right now, as we speak, as you're listening, there are trees and plant life under the water, above ground, breathing out what you're breathing in. And the exchange in your lungs is happening, and even the breath you take is happening without needing to consciously breathe. Dolphins consciously breathe. They sleep with one eye open in order to keep enough of their consciousness going in order to breathe consciously. You don't have to do that. You are abundantly blessed. You have experienced so much that you haven't had to earn. The feeling of a newborn baby, being able to play with a little puppy or a kitty cat, watching the most spectacular fireworks that you've ever seen. So beautiful that your eyes can't even be taken away, and you wish that your eyesight was even broader to be able to take in the beauty even more. Sunsets that would do the same. You in your future have the capacity, just the very capacity to be able to imagine not needing to get biologically older. You can actually get biologically younger. Just the very capacity to do that because you have focus. You could get biologically younger as you chronologically add years. I've done it. At 29, I was 49 biologically. And now, well, I can say that at 50, my biological age was about 33. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm not any different than you. It's just focus. Everyone can focus. You are not a victim. And the great thing is that shift can happen in a moment. The moment that you decide that you literally are the thinker of your thoughts. The moment, no matter how things are right now, the moment that you realize that there is, I'm going to say, there are probably by a factor of over a million, by a factor of a million, there are more things going right than there are going perceptively wrong. And everything that you feel that feels like contrast or difficulty, it really is it's either redirecting you to something better or showing you that you need to refocus. Everything that happens to you at all is either an affirmation of the direction you're on because you're so loved, or a redirection because it doesn't feel good because you're so loved. No matter what, it's all love. You see how abundant you are. So from there, I'm going to remind us one, that no matter what's going on in your life, you can observe everything, whether you see it as good or bad, as abundant, because you're getting more of it. How do I know? Because what you focus on, you get more of. I mean, the laws of physics do not lie. The universe assumes you have free will, and where you're focused is what you want more of. Maybe you're not well practiced, but hey, the way to get good at something is to practice, right? This is a very basic concept, I understand, but I'm just giving you a reminder this week. And I want you to know that there is an opportunity around financial abundance right now in our history. Because the monetary system is changing pretty drastically, there are opportunities that are outside of that. By shifting your focus and starting to take responsibility for where you put your attention, without beating yourself up when you forget, you have the capacity at this point in our history in one day to switch things around, to change them around. To the degree your momentum is going one way or the other on any subject, your momentum can go just as fast on a subject that you prefer. So I'm excited to see what happens by next week. I can't wait to hear you share what happens to you, with you, by taking on a little bit of homework. You get to play with the idea of when you wake up in the morning, deliberately watch where your mind is, and then bring your attention to focusing on that which exists or could exist that you want more of. Or just listen to this last 5 minutes again. Every day for the next 7 days. Let's see what happens by the next podcast, right? All right. And if you want the bonus homework, do it at night as well. A place where we immerse ourselves in the field of expanding into the world that's possible for us as Agents of Awakening, is the community that we created. You can go to members.thewideawakening.com. And if you go there, you will be able to join for free and jump on your very first free call with me and everybody that's in the community. And we will go down the wormhole and exponentiate like mad crazy for an hour and a half. So come join us. And I just want to say, until then, really choose your thriving life. Thanks so much, everyone. Remember to subscribe and like.